back. Hope you're enjoying a nice weekend. You ready for Game Week 26? Here are my picks this week. It's like not a whole lot of interest here in that 0 all the way up to 9 range. Just don't see guys playing enough minutes to be relevant right now. In the 9 range, there's Marcus Sasser, because there's always Marcus Sasser. So I'll talk about him enough. We'll skip over him. And then there's Sasha Vezenkov in Sacramento. He is playing more minutes recently. Last couple games for Sacramento, he has bumped his minutes up from pretty much nothing to 18 and then 11. To keep an eye on him, see if this keeps trending the right direction or not. He's an interesting guy at 9. Price still under $5. Robert Covington, we've been talking about a little bit. He's a 10. He still isn't back from injury. Right now, he's $1.31. So if you want to take advantage of that, when he gets back, I'd expect him to play some minutes. He usually gets 15 or so. And at a 10 range, he's going to be somebody who's worth rostering when he's back in the regular rotation. Trendon Watford in Brooklyn's another guy who needs minutes. And right now, he's just not getting them 5 minutes or so range on a regular basis. It's just not quite good enough. 1.04 points a minute's really good. If they make some deals or somebody gets hurt, he'd be a guy I'd be interested in at 11. David Roddy, we talked about last video in Memphis. His price is all the way up to $8. He's a 12. He's getting regular minutes in the mid-20s now with all the Memphis injuries. 0.71 a minute is just not very effective. He'd be a good play right now at 12, but I would not pay the $8 for him. I've been talking up Lonnie Walker now for the last couple of videos. 19.4 minutes on the season. Played 25 over in Paris, and then the last couple games, 9, 19, 13. I think he gets his minutes back up. I really think this team's going to do something here pretty soon with a trade or just a rotation shakeup. And when we look at his numbers, 1.06 points a minute, that's very good. 13's really low, and you can still get him under $5. Grant Williams in Dallas, he had to fight through some ankle injuries. Last couple games, 31 and 26 minutes, so right in that average range. Standard deviation of 10.7. If he's up a little bit in minutes, we're in that 19, 20 point range on average. Then you add in the standard deviation, he can get you a 30, and he's a 13, so that's a good buy. Still under $5. Kyle Lowry in Miami, minutes are steady, mid to upper 20s. That's right around his season average, which would put him about a 22. Standard deviation of 10 puts him in the low 30s. He's a 14. He's still under $5. Take a look at him. Kind of expected more minutes from DeLon Wright upon returning, but he's been all right. Usually in around that 16 range, some nights more, some nights less. Falls right in line with his season average. That puts him about 17. Standard deviation of 10.5. Somewhere in the high 20s. He's a 15. I think that's a decent look. He's not very expensive at $239. Isaiah Jackson suffered concussion on the 18th. Did not play on the 19th. We're going to have to see how he works with this new rotation with Siakam. It's going to be interesting to see how Indiana rotates their big men when everybody's healthy. What I can tell you about Jackson is he's a super productive 1.28 points a minute. L10 of 17. We're doing the Marvin Bagley thing right now in Washington. Not sure how long Daniel Gafford is out. Bagley is going to be the main beneficiary. Well, he is. Huge game last time out. Gafford's out again today, and I'm assuming Bagley is going to reap the benefits once again. 18 L10 is pretty low for a guy who's played 39 minutes his first game, so we'll see if he can keep it up. He's been inconsistent his whole career. I think this is probably a blip, and he is already expensive. I believe he's up to that $8 or $9 range, so I would go with somebody else. Santi Aldama, we talked about him last time out. 25 minutes against the Wolves last game after 17 in his first game back. I think you're going to get closer to 25 going forward with him. He's a good player, really skilled big. 23.1 on the season. I think that goes up now that they're missing so many key guys. Almost a point a minute. The minutes go up, the points go up. If we get into the high 20s with his variance of 11.7, he's a guy whose ceiling looks like 40 to me probably, and an 18 L10 is low enough where he's very playable and still pretty cheap, still under $5. Reggie Jackson in Denver. Feel like we've done a whole cycle with him. He filled in for Jamal Murray very nicely early in the year, and his minutes came way down. Now he's kind of in a groove of about 20 a night. It's exactly what he gets almost every day. And in that area, standard deviation of 12 puts him in the mid-30s. 18's kind of low for that, so I think Aldama's a better play, but Jackson's there too. Cam Thomas is too expensive for me in the $15 range. He's certainly a good play at 19, but I just can't do it. Kelly Olynyk, under $3. He's a 19 right now. 1.05 points a minute tells me he's productive when he's on the floor. He needs some minutes. Season average of 21. Last bunch of games here, we're in the high teens for the most part. Average over the last 5 is about 18 minutes. A little under his season average. So if he's getting you right around 20 with the standard deviation of 10, not a great play, but he could certainly pop for 30. And if he gets some more minutes, much more than that. Xavier Tillman was a better play when he was 13 and 14 and 15, now up at 19, but the minutes are much higher than they were earlier in the year. I expect him to get right around 30, so a big minutes increase, big points increase, and then that standard deviation puts him in the low 40s on given nights, so I think he's actually a better play at 19 than the first two. Tillman's right in that $8 range right now. Really sure what's going on with Cole Anthony. He's coming off just a terrible game yesterday. 27, 25, 26, 22, 21. So the minutes are there. A little lower than I'd like, but they are there. He's averaging almost 25 on the season, so he's down a little bit from that, but he's 1.02 points per minute. That's really good. Standard deviation of 11, so I would say he's a guy that can get you into the 30s fairly regularly. Buddy Hield exploded last night. We talked about him last time. I think he's still a good play at 21.96 a minute. He looked good in their first game with Siakam. Spreading the floor, shooting threes. Hit 6 threes last night. Obviously, he can pop for close to 50. I think he put up 48 last night. So nice night for Buddy Hield. I think you can play him again at 21. We're keeping an eye on Russell Westbrook, seeing if his minutes stay high now that Zubats is out for a little bit. 1.11 points a minute, really good. He obviously has the ball in his hands sometimes. 22 L10s, pretty low for him. That's about as low as it's been in a while. If he can get his minutes up into the high 20s, we're going to see this go up to about 30. Standard deviation of 10. We're looking at like 40 for a good night, so 22 is definitely in play. Dinwiddie seems to be coming back. 32 2 games ago, 33 last night for Dinwiddie. I would say he's going to stick in that low 30s minutes range, putting him right around this 29-30 area, and his standard deviation is big, so he can get into the 40s for you pretty easily, and he's at 23, so I would take a chance on him. Malcolm Brogdon. Okay, so Simons missed last night with another illness. I mean, this guy just can't catch a break. Brogdon played 37 minutes, so he's back. Scoot Henderson's injured. Nasal contusion. If Scoot Henderson is out for any length of time, if Simons misses more games, Brogdon's your choice. 37 minutes. He's getting you over a point a minute. So if his minutes are in the mid-30s, you're looking at a guy with a 15 standard deviation. He can put you up 50, 55 points. He's at 25. He's definitely in play. This is the lowest I've seen Keldon Johnson all season. Last three, he's looking at 26 minutes. Down off of his season average. Wemby ever sits. He's a good guy to have. Bogdan Bogdanovic in Atlanta. He's in the midst of his worst stretch of the season. He's got right ankle soreness coming off his biggest game minute-wise in a long time. Played 35 last night with no Trae Young. I just expect him to refire at some point. He's too good a player to be struggling this badly for this long. Hawks will probably end up making a move here at the deadline, so we'll see what happens. L10 of 26 is just really low for him. Miles Turner had a huge game. He's all the way down to 28. This is as low as I've seen him all year. 1.22 a minute. Very good. Halliburton's back. Huge first game. Definitely be looking at him. D'Lo's still playing big minutes in the mid-30s, so well above his season average. I think you can bump this all the way up to that 36 or so range. Standard deviation of 13. We're looking at 50 on a good night. The Simons illness doesn't scare me that much. I know what this guy's capable of. 33 minutes a night on average. Certainly plays more than that from time to time. 1.06 a minute. Good enough to do some damage. 30 is just too low. Huge standard deviation. This is a guy that gets hot and can put you up 60.